Last call for Sonic 4.
I finally finished my Sonic 4 playthrough on this channel, the very first of what I hope is many for the Spiny Norman YouTube page, and now that you've heard me rage, saw me stink, saw me grow, listened to Matt and Chris talk about metal in that one episode, heard me shout at a section that I probably could have figured out quicker, what do I think of the game? Well, my simple thoughts are, I think Episode 1 is an unacceptable piece of shit and Episode 2 is actually pretty decent. It's a pretty huge jump. It's like a 1 out of 10 became a 6 out of 10. I'd even be generous enough to give it a 7 out of 10 if it weren't for the large amount of time waste in Episode 2 does. In the airplane fight with Metal Sonic, you can't even get a single attack in until 40 seconds of the fight. For someone like me who dies a lot, that is very annoying. And that is just one of several moments in this game where I feel like it deliberately is wasting my time. But all in all, level design was a lot better in Episode 2. It relied less on gimmicks for each stage and just making each level a fun platforming challenge. And appearance-wise, it was a major step up, looking very nice at times. Well, Episode 1 is one of the worst looking games I've ever played. I used to say that Sonic Forces was my least favorite entry in the series. That title now goes to Sonic 4 for sure. Sure, Sonic 4 feels less automated and I can see why someone would argue it's better than Forces, but Forces at least looks nice at points and doesn't piss me off every second I'm playing it. Do I have anything nice to say about Episode 1? I don't think the music is too bad. Definitely a weaker entry to the series music-wise, but Splash Hill Zone is pretty memorable music-wise. Splash Hill Zone isn't even that awful of a stage design-wise, but I feel like most of the aspects I like about it can be contributed to pre-existing games in the series, with just how much it's taken from Green Hill Zone, and I still think the graphics on this stage, the enemies, and, well, Sonic himself are quite the eyesore. But yes, the other 3 zones are even worse. I know we are at a point where Sonic fans tend to get more annoyed by harsh criticism, and considering with just how much shit this series gets, I kind of understand that mindset. But I didn't choose to start this channel off with Sonic 4 as an attack on the series, but more so morbid curiosity. See, I liked Sonic 4 when it was released, but I was also a 14-year-old playing it on my iPod. Hearing a lot of negative reception as I got older, paired with the fact that there are people who defend this one, made me really curious to check it out again. And I was surprised by just how much I disliked it. If you do like it, that's obviously okay. But I do think saying Episode 1 is a great game with no problems actually invalidates Episode 2, which took quite literally every element of Episode 1 and made it better. Better music, better stages, better boss battles, better character models, better animation, better controls, hell, even better gimmicks. I didn't love the abilities Sonic and Tails did together, I feel like they kind of serve as a pace killer, but at the same time it's kind of fun to see how long you can stay in that ball form, and you're really not required to use this feature all the time. The game doesn't rely too heavily on it, you can avoid it. Looking back at my playthrough, was I in the wrong with anything I said while I was playing it? Oh yeah, for sure. As I said before, there was this one section in Oil Desert Zone Act 3 that I was really struggling with. Looking back, I was failing to understand how the rolling mechanic of Sonic and Tails even worked. I didn't understand why sometimes they would start flying instead of rolling when I was blatantly still up in the air from a jump. If you jump and activate the buddy ability, you fly. If you're on the ground, you roll. It is that simple and I failed to realize that, giving the game an unfair criticism as I played it. I think that is a good thing about doing this Last Call series, because I think I should show the playthrough as it was, but still be able to look back with not only a critical look at the game, but the player. And as the player, as angry as this game made me at times, a lot of that was on me and not the game. In Episode 1, a lot of my deaths were just me fucking up, but it still made me angry because I hated playing the game, and I didn't want to redo levels. In Episode 2, a lot of my deaths were just me fucking up, but I was normally willing to get back onto the fun side of the game pretty quickly since it was an enjoyable experience overall. The only section that still confuses me, even after looking back at all of my footage, is Sky Fortress Zone Act 1, which I still think is a slow and bad level of the game that mainly just kills time. I think it has some cool ideas presentation-wise, but it's just not my type of level. I feel very similar about that plane section in Adventure 1 that you have to go through multiple times, so maybe take me saying that with a grain of salt. I feel like these sections are more so there for the adventure feel of the game, but I just find them to be really easy and really boring sections to get through. It's tedious, that's the best way I could explain it. However, in Sonic 4, there is actually a brief platforming challenge near the end of the stage, and I wasn't properly locking onto enemies, and I don't think it really makes sense why I wasn't. I think there is a very specific order this game wanted me to go in to complete the section, but with how weird the timing is on some of these enemies appearing, I was just trying to get to the nearest enemy I could, but often when I jumped, the red circle that's supposed to appear on an enemy when you're close enough to do the homing attack, it just simply wouldn't show up. I could either fall to my death or attempt to jump and still fall to my death, since it didn't properly lock on. In classic Sonic, just jumping onto these enemies would have killed them or allowed you to bounce off them, so this would have worked in the classic gameplay style. With the modern approach, simply jumping onto one of the enemies would hurt you and launch you back, making you fall to your death. So you really do rely on the homing attack in this section, and when the homing attack doesn't work, I really don't understand what the game expects you to do. Again, my assumption is that there is a very specific order this section wanted me to follow, but with the enemies being scattered, it was not conveyed well at all. This paired with the fact that if you get a game over, you have to do the really slow and really boring flight stage again, just to get another shot at this unfair platforming section, makes Sky Fortress Zone Act 1 the worst level in Episode 2. For Episode 1, the worst level is Lost Labyrinth Zone Act 2, with the fucking torches. That was a bad idea, and whoever came up with it should feel bad. That was not even remotely enjoyable and completely misunderstood the point of Sonic. I fucking hated it. It might be my least favorite level in the entire series. The best level of Episode 1? Splash Hill Zone Act 1. It only gets worse from there. Best level in Episode 2? Hard question, honestly. Every zone has a good level. Some zones have nothing but good levels. I don't know what my favorite one is, but I thought the roller coaster level was really fun and creative, and the music was nice too, using a little bit of Twinkle Park music, or I guess Sonic 3D Blast music, since Twinkle Park used Sonic 3D Blast music. I don't mind them repurposing some old music or old level concepts, as long as they do something fun with it. Episode 1 borrowed from 3 levels of Sonic 1, 2 of them being shitty levels, and 1 level from Sonic 2. It was lame. Episode 2 made enough changes to the point where one could actually mistake them for completely original levels, even though I do believe they all take inspiration from previous stages, but still, it's much better in this one and the levels are fun to play through. Another purpose to this last call series is to go over some of the content I may have not shown in the original playthrough. In this playthrough, that content includes Episode Metal and Supersonic. For Supersonic, I quit. I suck at the bonus stages in Episode 1. Like, I really suck at them, and I don't want to keep playing through these stages just to get a chance to play as Supersonic. If you want to say that means I didn't complete the game, that's fair enough, but I do think I did enough to call it a series. I'm done with the game. As for Episode 2, the bonus stages are a big step up. But I was once again pretty bad at them, and I don't really care to play through the stages any more than I already did to try to collect them all. I gotta call it quits after a while, and yeah, I am defeated by these special stages, but gameplay-wise, they are more fun than the ones in Episode 1, and they are more appealing than the ones in Episode 1, they look nicer than the ones in Episode 1, and it's not such a hassle to go through the levels just to get them again. It's just, I got tired of it personally. As for Episode Metal, I think it's a cool idea. I'll always take an opportunity to play as Metal Sonic, but the levels come from Episode 1, and the graphics are from Episode 1, and they kinda fucking suck again. I'm sorry that I'm being so mean, but this really does feel like it was made before they took notes on how to make Episode 2 better. It was not fun having to go through these horrible stages again. I'll give it props just for being bonus content they didn't have to give us, but I don't ever want to play it again. So yeah, those are my final thoughts on Sonic 4 and the bonus content that came with it. I would have honestly been open for an Episode 3. If they kept improving at the same rate they did between 1 and 2, we might get a 10 out of 10 episode eventually. That's wishful thinking, but hey, optimism. I know I had some pretty harsh words in this video, but for what it's worth, I respect the hell out of the developers for actually learning from their mistakes in Episode 1. It really does feel like they took feedback well. And I'm sure with a bunch of ideas being thrown at them and different directions to take the classic game style in, trying to mix the modern with the classic, it could have been a complicated first run. Episode 2 is more than an acceptable game. Episode 2 is a good game. I think I'd even go as far as to say that Episode 2 is up there with the movie redesign in terms of Sonic Redemption arcs. If you're curious about checking Sonic 4 out, it's on Steam, with each episode costing $10. I'd say just buy 2, the Metal Sonic bonus content you get from owning both of them is not worth it, but if you just want to try everything 4 has to offer, I can understand the curiosity. Just don't say I didn't warn ya. I give Episode 1 a 1 out of 10 and Episode 2 a 6 out of 10.